Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay, we'll start a meeting with our attorney report, Mr. Dan Ziegler.
Okay, not a lot to report today. I did, the Whitehead case is settled. I'm waiting on the release to come back, and then that will be dismissed. The Wheeler case, I visited with you a little bit at lunch about that. We're still working on that. Still needs, I think the agreement's there in principle, but it still needs to be done in writing, so hopefully that's coming soon. And I did note on the agenda that these speed ordinances that are going to be submitted to you, those were presented to me for review for form and accuracy, and I approved them. The concept of changing them is up to you, obviously, but so that's been done as well.
I have a question on that due to the fact he probably won't be here when we talk about that. We had a similar situation here several years ago. And we were told by the highway department at that time that you could not control speed by stop or yield signs. Now, I'll bring together the issue that was. Now, maybe it's changed now, but where 250 west heads into Loon Lake, tees into there. Where on one side we got the boats, the other side we got resistance. The lady, Mrs. Hoffman, brought to us, they wanted to put stop signs on 700 at the end of 250, and also stop signs down at Brown Road to slow the traffic down. Now, those have a posted speed limit of 30, of 20, I was 20, but most people go 30 plus. But that was their reasoning, and the reason we turn it down, and I just bring this up in case it would come back and say, well, we presented this and you turn it down. If there's new statutes on it, no problem. I don't have any problem with this. Highway recommends it, I guess it's the thing to do. But are we looking at who makes the recommendation or what? Do you know? Were either one of you commissioners when this?
Yeah, no, I know
remember
exactly
that.
what you're talking about.
I remember what you were saying.
Is
there.
that somewhat accurate? I don't know. It's been
It
overnight.
is, no,
So
it is accurate, but there was a lot of reluctance in general for making any ordinances from that person. He just didn't want to make any ordinances. We talked about speed and trucks on 300 North and all that taking ordinance. And so I don't know if it was fact or fiction. That did happen exactly. We were told you can't adjust speed with a stop sign.
I don't know, I'm really struggling to get an understanding of whether that was a legal argument or an engineering concept. It sounds to me more like an engineering concept, that's not how you control speed.
I read it from printed material that was provided.
Yeah, I'd like to say, I'll have to go back and check that, Tom. I am
I
not aware.
just don't want, because there's issues here, well, that's past now, no one remembered it, but if you guys remember it,
I remember.
doesn't mean
No,
I had a
I-
bad dream last night
No,
or something,
no.
you know.
Well,
So anyway, that was presented to us and was turned down on that basis, but I understand also at this intersection there is a yield sign. Is that true? And you want to replace the yield sign with stop
That's
sign.
my understanding of what it is, yes.
And the reason is because of speed, I guess.
Well, I thought the reason was that people didn't actually stop at the yield sign, they just kept going, and so because as it was explained to me by Brandon, was because he said to me he thought it was a good idea because it would get people to stop when they're not honoring
They're
the
not
yield
gonna
sign.
stop.
I don't know, I won't argue with you because I'm not out there,
Probably
but
90% of the time you can go through there both ways and not hit anything, but it's that 1 on
Right.
10% that's gonna get you.
well, it's like the railroad tracks where they put
Yeah.
stop signs
So,
everywhere.
go ahead with it, but that, I was going to bring that up when, so you'll check it out? and come
Yeah,
back?
yeah, I'm curious about that, Tom, so I will definitely check it out. So it must be a statute we're talking about, statute
It
can't.
came from the Indiana, same as this one right here, the Indiana Manual on Uniform Traffic Control. That's
Okay.
where that information came from. He gave us a copy of it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not sure it's the same thing, but Tom is right. That was
Where you
said,
would start.
can't control speed with a stop sign.
Well, maybe if you had just installed a roundabout there, that would make.
Well, this
That
particular
cost them $5
area, and we'll
million.
talk about it later, but this particular area is just gonna get worse and worse because this is in the area where the new school's gonna be built.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna get,
Okay, so,
it's gonna, and as oddly as you can see, I'm never on here, never on these roads, but Saturday I was because 205 is closed south of Columbus City, and I went that way and I thought, yeah, this is kind of bollocksed up down through here. It needs, more than this needs done, I think, to that whole general area
okay.
down there. It's a start, I guess.
And in this ordinance, it very well with the county code to provide for speed control. Then it goes down and authorize the board to decrease the speed limits outside an urban district. So it is stated in this ordinance why we're doing it. And if it's in
Gotcha.
violation, we'll have to look at it.
So you want to take this under advisement and have me review that and get back to you?
I don't know. I just bring it up because when it comes up, we're going to have to discuss it. So if you need, if whatever the chairman and vice here wants to do, but
Well, I don't have an answer for that for you right now.
I think we might as well table that until we do get some
Right.
kind of a
Right.
hearing on or reading on that.
I'm sorry, but I think we're talking two
There's two
different
different ones
things
here,
here.
yep.
And I really think, if we're gonna get there, I don't see a problem with the speed limit reduction because that was done by the law with the traffic count.
Right,
And
85%
the
off.
85 percentile. I can see this one, us not dealing with this one now, but I really think
Yep.
we can deal with
are
this
we
one.
talking about this? On the bottom
That
line,
arm's not
there,
hurting your eyes, is it?
you got appropriate speed control signs. Is that the same as a speed control sign?
Yeah, I think that might need
You can't
addressed.
fool an old typing teacher. I am a Hawkeye
There's
on
a-
that.
Look in the bottom of that.
Oh, I see it.
Well, we definitely want, if we're up in Western's neighborhood, you want seed control signs.
Seed control, that's right. That's right.
You get, won't be long, bye. Okay, so I make a motion, we table that till our attorney has them.
Okay, now,
Which one are you making a motion on?
On, well, it's not labeled, on the 600 North in Thornton Creek Township.
well, that one is,
See, other than changing seed to speed, I think that was okay, but I think this
because
is,
that was done properly by using that, they did a speed count and took that
I know.
85 percentile.
I read that,
Okay,
but it didn't seem to be too much. But you're still, by this ordinance, controlling speed on a county road.
yeah,
And my point is, we denied installing speed signs on 700 North Loon Lake, putting stop signs to control speed. And when the state's in here twice while you're doing that, I just want to be sure that we have the authority to place signs or change signs to decrease speed.
okay.
okay, that's fine.
Yep.
We'll table it.
Now,
I'll
that's the
sec- I'll
one
s-
I was talking about. Now, if you have one,
Well, this is the one I think you should be talking about, because this is the one where they want to put the stop sign in. And what you were saying was you can't use a stop sign as a speed control. So if we're going to table them, let's table them both.
Right.
so what's the difference between?
Well, quite a bit of difference, really. This is changing the speed limit, This is putting in a stop sign.
To control speed. Both of them is controlling speed.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, they do.
That,
Yeah.
I'm not going, I just say, and I agree with you, we ought to,
Well, and I agree that we should
table them
let
both.
Dan, we should table them both and let Dan read them.
I've got
okay.
a motion to table,
Second.
got a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Come on.
Sorry.
One of these days, you gentlemen will get elderly. And I just
Oh, I'm
hope
there.
I'm
I'm
alive
so there.
when they bring me through the door in a wheelchair, that I can say, I told you so, and leave. This is getting too rowdy. End of the year. All right. So you got that, Mr. Ziegler?
I do. I'm on it.
And I would recommend to the fact of the Whittle County Highway that you get Mr. Forrester involved.
Yeah, that's how my first contact on this, so I will contact Brandon and we'll get our heads together on it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else for you, Dan? Tom, did you have anything else for Dan?
Nope.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dan, I know Amy is here to talk about some funding, and that brings to my mind, did we ever get any money from, I can't even think of.
Cedar Bridge.
Cedar
What is it?
Cedar Bridge.
Cedar Bridge, I had Caring Bridge, Cedar Bridge. Did we ever get any money from them? Or the status? Guess I was hoping we could use that money.
Well, I remember a while back we got, I think it was a $2,000 payment, but I haven't seen anything since.
We got one payment of 2,000, meaning they would still owe 8.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Can you follow up on that for us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it, thank you.
Okay, I don't think I had anything. I talked to Dan about Matt Winger, and we still haven't heard anything back from him yet. So, as soon as we hear from him, then he'll have to get ahold of Dan, take care of that situation. Okay, next on the agenda is Jen Christie and Lindsay Grossnickel, credit card request. Jen?
Yep, so we can hear you in the microphone.
We are requesting a credit card for the JDAI, which is the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. There's a lot of, we're gonna have to buy a lot of equipment for it, such as computers. There's gonna be food for meetings twice a month that we have to provide. We need a new projector screen for it. And we have a lot of travel expenses that we're gonna accrue during that, so we're just requesting a credit card so that we don't have to ask for one basically every week.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think Lindsay.
Could you tell me the name of the program again?
Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative. It's basically a program to keep the kids out of detention that don't need to be in detention and keep the ones in there that do need to be in there for the right reasons.
Well, isn't the question, whose budget is it under? Do the expenses fall under the general budget? They fall under one of the department budgets?
We got a grant, so it would be out
You
of
have a
our
grant.
own.
Okay, it's
JDAI
all
budget.
grant?
It's all
Yes.
grant funded.
Okay. So it would be reimbursed by the funds from the grant?
Yes, sir.
And you control the grant money out of an account?
Well, I don't.
That's control.
Well.
My wife controls my checkbook. I'm kidding, but no, so, yeah, you just want to make sure the money follows to where it should go. Okay.
And I did talk to Lindsay. They're going to have ongoing training for this. I mean, it's something that is continuing education basically every year.
This is a new program?
Yeah, we just started it. We just got our money actually in October, and we've only been doing it since about July.
How much was the grant?
44,700 something.
And usually on those grants, you specify how and what it is going to be spent for.
Yep, we have, there's a food and travel allowance, there's a,
Well, that'd be the most important, food and travel.
yep, and then the budget for, we
I'm
have a
just
budget for
teasing you.
the equipment
I just
that we have
meant
to
you.
buy.
Equipment.
Yep, and then
Yeah.
there's salaries, yeah, thank you.
Salaries.
Yeah,
So, okay.
I came to all of you previously to.
So, the question to me for you guys is, so it's just, we've been through some things before, so it's audit trail and how the money flows to make sure, and I know they're in charge of the grant itself, but how do we oversee, and that's you, I guess, to oversee to make sure it's within the parameters of the grants? I'm just trying to make sure we got,
They file claims, and then it goes through Janet,
Yeah.
and Janet will actually make sure that everything's proper, because it'll be a credit card statement, a part of the credit card statement.
But
Each-
every credit card statement has to be backed up with an invoice.
Right.
Correct. yeah,
Everyone
and they
has
are.
to be backed up.
They are now,
That's,
yeah.
that's,
And it's a
That's-
$2,000 credit limit. That's it on each one, so.
Well, we went through this
Yeah.
a year ago, and Don's exactly right. I think we're going to be back in the same position that we were. How many credit cards do we have out there? Who's following up on them? And, but it's up to you guys, because I just think, Amy was in, I have nothing against her programs. I'm just saying, is this going to be a continuum? And what are you going to set the standards for denying them? I think this is completely legitimate. I don't know about the travel and food, maybe so, but we get a lot of travel and food and conference things in our claims. This month's been terrible. But
you have to count.
and like I say, I'm just saying, I would hate to make a decision where we say, yeah, and then 2 or 3 more come in for credit cards, and first thing you know, every department has a credit card, and then how much time does it take to,
And I think we made that statement. I think we made the statement that we're gonna open the floodgates here. I'm thinking.
But the issue that I see here is that we're already, they're using the credit cards.
Correct.
They're using
They're
ours
using it already.
right.
already.
So it's the same account, I think was the question we asked when the grant came through. It's
Yeah.
the same account, it's just an extra card on the account.
Right.
Correct. It's just an extra card.
Yeah, as long as it's,
why did we take them away from them in the first place? If they're gonna use somebody's credit card, why did we take them away?
well, for a certain former auditor had multiple accounts, for one thing. So,
Yeah, and-
Well, you're talking about county money and
And we
grant
wanted to
money
make sure
also.
their names were on the credit
yes,
card to be used.
you are. And then you gotta be careful with grant money, and you don't wanna mix it up. But that's why I asked the question to start with, how are we gonna manage it?
Yeah, I don't care what you guys want to do. Now, we've already voted for some. I don't know how we can deny
Duly
it.
noted that, that was what we talked about before when we got rid of a lot of the credit cards, but I guess I keep going back to they're already using the credit
Right.
cards.
They are.
And
I don't have any legal objection to it.
any discussion?
I'm just trying to, I guess I wanna make sure all the gates are locked behind us, that the credit card will, every invoice will will be reviewed and looked at.
And it does, you're right. Right now, it goes through a two-step process instead of how it was originally when it was just one individual looking at it. There's two different departments reviewing that process now.
Yeah. You understand, my concern though is if you have 20 cars out there, now you got, so,
Now, will this credit card be used for grant purchases only?
Yes. And we actually get audited by the Department of Correction as well, and we have to keep a record and receipts from every single thing that we buy, whether it's food, computers, anything for this grant. We have to keep a running tab of everything.
Well, you need to be sure that when those are presented, that this is to be taken out of grant money or something, so that when they pay it, they know which side of the ledger they're taking that money out of, county budget or grant money.
Right.
Did we make that stipulation on yours, Amy, or you're just wide open?
Mine comes all out of the adult or juvenile user fees.
Okay, all right, so you're all right. You don't
Jim,
have,
could you tell me a little bit more about the food part? I don't know that I understand that. Who are we feeding?
There's going to be a steering committee that involves, well, we're hoping. We haven't had any meetings yet. We're just starting to get the kickoff. It will hopefully include the school members, so the school resource offices and the dean of students from Columbia City, and then the assistant principal from Whitco. And then there will be attorneys and the judge and us and people from Indianapolis coming to them, and they request that we provide a lunch, so it's over lunch, so that's what the food would be for, is providing people the food at our meetings for the lunch.
and I have, we've kind of opened the gates now, but on this one with grant money and Amy's with fund money is a little different maybe than maintenance walking in here, which he has no grant or anything. It's all county tax
Right.
money. We might, I'm just saying, because somebody's going to come in and say, well, how do you justify this?
Sure.
Well, we got to have an answer. So, what do you think, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we just have to control it. That's the whole thing. We have to make sure that, I'm a little hung up on the food part because we attend a lot of meetings and we can't have food at our meetings. We're not allowed to for the public to buy our lunch. And that's exactly what's happening here. You're taking grant money and buying people's lunch with, and we go to a lot of meetings and we're not allowed to do that. So,
That is part of the grant. We have to provide food to our stakeholders. And
Yeah.
that's why they're giving us the money to do that. I believe these are federal grant dollars that are coming in.
We had to budget, yeah,
This is
we
what
had
you're
to
going
budget the
this money.
food in.
well, I see that in another quasi-county group that does that too, and they go to Big G's and have lunch, and I see that, so. But as a rule, that the county employees can't use tax money to buy your lunches with, so. If you're here, you certainly can if you're on the road somewhere, but. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow the credit card.
Okay, we've got a motion, we've got a second. Discussion? I've got a question, are we talking one credit card, or are we talking two credit cards?
We would just need one.
Okay.
Whose name do you want it in? Lindsay's? You want it in Lindsay's name? She filled out the form, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm
Are
asking.
we still in discussion?
Yes.
Okay, if we're in discussion, if she's talking about buying a computer, would that fit into any of our program here, or?
Not necessarily.
Well, I guess that's not my question. If they buy a computer,
Oh, I
does
see
it
what you're
come under the
saying.
auspices of preferred IT to maintain the computer?
I'm sure it would, because.
Currently now,
yeah,
how we have it set up,
yeah.
it would. They would purchase the equipment with the grant, and then yes, we would maintain it, or if there's repairs or anything, then the equipment that money could be used for the grant.
So who's that computer belong to then? Because it rather seems to me that if we're gonna pay for the maintenance of it, it would belong to the county.
I believe we were told if we stop doing the grant and our money gets taken away, that the DOC would take all of our equipment that
DOC
we
would?
purchased with the grant money.
I don't think we should.
So if it
Support the
needs
computer.
maintained, your department will pay the bill and maintain it? If it needs work on it,
I would assume so.
So that shouldn't be under our contract
What?
then.
That should come out
Yeah.
of grant money. That
It should be
not come out of
separate.
town.
It should be
it's
separate.
allowable under the grant money. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they should cover their own.
So IT will not be involved in this, whether it's purchase or maintaining.
Not as far as that's concerned, but IT will be paying for all the internet service, the wireless, the web hosting.
Well, there'll be laptops, so I think we would have to buy a wireless hotspot or something
Oh,
with
okay.
it.
Computer-related expenses then will come out of the grant too. Okay. I have no more discussion.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the request, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
He's picking on you.
I know. Can't hurt a Christian.
Okay, that's been approved. Thank you,
Thank
Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay,
Who applies for this card, or like, Amy, did you do your own?
I get a form through STAR, and then they actually complete the form.
How
and
many
then
credit cards do we have out now?
This will be 12.
How many do we take away?
I don't remember that number.
I don't either.
I think it was more than 12. I know
Well,
that.
I know it's more
It's
than
when we
12.
made the
Yeah.
switch to
At the rate we're
Star.
going, it's gonna be right back up there to 20 again.
Yeah, I don't remember, so.
It'll be up to us to make sure they
okay,
check
Amy,
claims.
Additional funding request.
The institutional care, is that a gadget? I said, fund. That is under the commissioner's budget, and that basically pays for our detention cost which we're trying to take down because of JDAI. But we are, in the past, the council has approved $150,000 in that fund, and this year they approved $70,000. Well, we've gone through that $70,000, and we're already about $1,200 behind. So I would like to go in front of the council tomorrow and ask for additional appropriations, but this does come under your budget, so I'm presenting that to you today.
How much you thinking?
$25,000, I think, should get us to the end of the
Will
year.
get us through the end of the year?
Yes.
What's the difference in expenses this year over last?
I don't think much of anything, just the budget's less.
What did they give you last year?
I don't, do you recall what they gave last year? I think we came back for appropriations, or more appropriations
Again,
as well.
last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think,
Did they cut your budget for 17 over 16, or, I know that,
It's your budget, I don't even know what went in there this year.
last year it was 150,000, but we actually only ended up needing like 52,000.
So we had a great year last year, but.
Yeah.
so it's about,
Oh, I'm sorry, 50, I'm sorry, I was looking wrong one, it was 50,000. Oh, yeah, we needed additional 50,000, okay, I was looking at.
so they spent close to 100,000 last year. And this will move you up to about 99,000.
95, yeah.
95,000.
Any further discussions?
I have the
move
daily
that
per
they-
diem if you want to know what the agencies are charging. Does that matter? Okay.
I'd make a motion that we give a favorable pass to the council to take it to $100,000 to finish the year.
Okay, I've got a motion to get an additional to 100,000 for the total, for the appropriation for institutional care.
That's for the remainder of 16.
Yes.
Months, that's 33,000 a month.
The
We
only good
haven't
thing is-
paid for September yet, so I have September for the end of the year.
But it is under budget from last year by $21,000.
Oh, we can make it anywhere, I just,
Second.
I want to make sure we get it through the year.
Okay, and this is for a favorable pass to the council.
Second.
Got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please, please. I'm so excited. I have a value after my report.
Nathan,
Get down there to
Nathan Bilger, our planning and building director.
my back check is a little longer.
Ordinance amending the zoning classification.
Here's more stuff.
Good afternoon. In September, the Plan Commission considered a request from Warner Holdings LLC to rezone a property located at the far southeast corner of the county, at the northwest corner of US 24 and 800 East. The proposal was to go from the existing AG Agricultural District to GC General Commercial to allow for certain commercial uses to be done there. The petitioner is currently proposing, petitioner is in the audience if you wish them to speak any. They wish to do a automobile repair and restoration shop as well as a storage facility, both for automobiles and boats, stuff like that. All using currently existing buildings. There are some residences, if you know the property, there are some residents on the site that would then become legal non-conforming if this zoning went through. That's the nutshell of it. There was some concern over traffic discussed at the Plan Commission level. The end result of that was that they felt since the current proposal is making use of the existing buildings and the level of the use is relatively low, traffic really wouldn't be a big concern and could be handled either through the subdivision planning process or development plan process if this was to be redeveloped in the future. So the end vote wound up being 7-1 with one absent as a favorable recommendation to the commissioners. So if you have any questions for me or the petitioner.
Where does the drive come off of, 24 or 800 East?
Currently, there is a drive off of 24, which, as I understand it, is not used particularly much. So all of the commercial traffic would be coming off of 800 East, off the two drives there.
When you say auto repair, and the reason, and maybe this wouldn't come into play right now, but it might affect the other ags around, ag properties around. There's no housing or anything around it, but down in we get people, a number of cars sitting out to being repaired or farm machinery or something like this, and neighbors complain. What's across that road? Say
In Allen County, we've got the auto sales, used to be, I think it used to be Bart's, I can't remember what it is now.
Where that is.
To the west is farmland, to the north is some woods, and then residential, and to the south across US 24 is the old quarry. Here's a aerial if you want to.
So, was there anyone that owns either residential or ag ground opposed to this?
We didn't receive any comments.
My only other question, Mr. Chairman, would be, and the person should understand this, is with all your people on the planning commission, do you know why Mr. Forrester voted against it?
He was primarily concerned over the right-of-way and dedication of right-of-way in the future. And as I mentioned, the Plan Commission thought that could be handled when the property was redeveloped rather than rezoned, because the current proposal is to use the existing buildings. So, speaking for the Plan Commission, it seems that they thought that the right-of-way and the access issue could be dealt with when it's redeveloped in the future, whenever that is.
No further questions at this time
Commissioner?
for me.
No, I'd make a motion, we approve the rezoning.
Okay, I've got a motion to approve the rezoning of petition 16W REZ-02.
Second for discussion.
Got a second for discussion?
Is there anyone here that's against this?
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same. Thank you.
Thank you.
I ate a salad, though. That's the problem. I can smell it, too. Across from me is the Coney dog. I eat every once a year, and that is horrible.
My husband comes home and has had that for lunch.
One
Yes.
time,
Yep.
just one time.
Good.
Sorry that I interrupted you.
Okay, next on the agenda is Dan Weigel, aerial photography.
Good afternoon.
Dan?
You recall about, 4 weeks to 6 weeks ago, is in looking at opportunities with an aerial flight that is possible of happening in 2017. If you recall, 2016 or 2015 aerials were flown, but were not to our standards. And so they flew again in 2016, which the 2016s are on the internet now, and they are meeting our standards. They came out really nice, and everybody seems to be happy with them. Well, the state comes out in that 2-year time period and says, hey, we're going to fly like what we did back in 2012, and they're going to fly the eastern part of the state next year, and they're offering a reduced price, which honestly is a really nice price, because the state and federal cost share is going to be $10,142.81 for the buy-ups that we usually look at going to 6-inch imagery. So our cost for the just ortho product is $20,234.91. Which that's a heck of a deal for 6-inch photography countywide. My recommendation was to try to go ahead and bring that photography in for next year. Last time I was told to seek funding for that, and as of now, I've got the Sheriff's Department has verbally committed to $5,000. They use it 24/7. It's in their cars. 911 also, as long as the council approves, committed $5,000. The auditor committed $2,000, and the assessor committed $3,500 to the cause, so we're at $15,500. And the additional $4,734.91 I do have available in my GIS Implementation and Development Fund. I also have contacted the other towns in our county, and they're taking it under advisement. They're supposed to be getting back with me here rather quickly, so we can, seek, where else, some additional monies which could take out of the GIS development implementation area if we need to. But we do seem to have the funding in place to go ahead and purchase the aerials for 2017. My plan would be, we're under a contract that's a little open with Pictometry at this point, that we could, we're supposed to fly again with them in 3 years after the purchased photography, which would be 2019. My plan would be to go ahead and postpone that one until 2020 because that gives us a 3-year span in between the flights, and plus the new school will be built and the other enhancements that are going to be happening in this county rather quickly. It would be probably beneficial for us to fly in 2020. Honestly, I know when I first came on, there was basically going from 92 to 98, and then we ended up flying in 2003, so there was about a five-year span, but what we found is there has been so much development happening, especially since, since we came on here in 2000. The aerials are extremely valuable to how we do our jobs, whether it's doing police work or internal office work right now. We've seen the value just in having the 2 flights in, and even within the year, the advancements that's been going on. I'm not saying we have to fly every year by any means, but every 3 years would probably be advisable. I know a lot of communities are bouncing between 3 and 4, and of course down around Indy they're flying every year. But 3-year span probably isn't a bad idea to be flying. Especially with the things that are going on right now. So what basically I'm seeking is that we give permission to go ahead and continue the seeking the contracts for the aerials for 2017, and then maybe we need to think about setting up some kind of a fund or approach this thing that we're going to be flying every 3 years, and then putting money aside so it's not such a rush to try to figure out where this money's coming from, because public safety seems to be utilizing 24/7. We also have, the planning department uses it all the time, the emergency management, the EDC, almost every office within our government works uses it.
What kind of bothers me about this, you name all those offices and things, and we're not getting much support from the communities outside now. Have you really contacted them? And
yeah, some of what's happening within our internal offices is that the budgets have been set so tight. I'm running into issues where, we're an extra $1,000.
I'm not talking about our offices.
I think he's talking about Cherubusco.
Cherubusco, South.
We're getting good support from our most of these, and I haven't heard REMC in here yet.
Right, well, and the problem with some of these outside firms is they've got access to their own, or because of the fact that years ago we put all of our imagery goes down to Indianapolis or goes on the IU website, and they can download it for nothing.
Well,
I mean, that's the way some of that just worked a long time ago. I'm not saying I 100% agreed with it.
but this might be my greedy end of it.
Right.
I just hate for county offices and county budget fill in. You've done an excellent job of getting money from our offices, but I don't want the attitude or the philosophy of those that, well, just wait, the county will do it, and then we'll just get it as we need it, and what's that fee?
Yeah, oh, exactly, and I've got, like I say, I've made contacts with the other towns. Obviously, Busco, South Whately, and Columbia City. Last year, Columbia City contributed $6,000 towards our ortho project for the previous year. I'm still working on trying to bring Churubusco and South Whately into the mix of things. Next month, the first week of November, I have classes set up for the use of pictometry, and what I'd like to do is involve them in with those classes, so maybe they can start seeing the benefit and use of GIS within their own organization. And so what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to bring them in and try to say, hey, you know what, this could be useful to your organization, along with our other volunteer fire departments, because I think that could be another huge asset for GIS as well as for themselves to utilize, learn how to use this
Could I
program.
recommend if you do that and they don't go there, ask to get on their agenda at one of their town meetings
Oh, absolutely.
and
Yeah,
explain how this is used? Maybe they don't, their board members don't
Right.
know how, but to me, for $500, be a good deal for them.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, and the word I had out earlier to each of them, 1,000 would be nice to have a contribution from them, because they do use the Beacon website, and last I checked, we're averaging a little over 400 and some people a day utilizing our Beacon website. So it's a tool that's used all across the county, and who knows, we're getting feeds from all across the country, quite honestly, from banks and mortgage companies that are utilizing our site. So it's, yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from. If it takes a presentation to the other towns, then by all means, I'll go. I want to get the GIS out to as many people as possible, because it seems to be a very, very useful tool to a lot of people. So,
Dan and I met this morning and talked about this, and so is there a change that you don't need the 4,000 anymore? I'm
Well-
confused about that.
well, exactly. I looked in my GIS implementation and development line item, and I think I got enough in there to cover that part. But I still am going to be seeking, the other two towns as well. It's just kind of waiting to hear back from the two clerks from those two towns to see if there's any interest, and if I have to get on the agenda to explain, the.
I
the
think
use
that's
of
your
it.
best bet, honestly. Get on the agenda and go to both their town council
Okay.
meetings. Okay, but the other thing we talked about is that, so what do? Do we wait 3 years and say, hey, we need $30,000? I say, with all the, and you're gonna have to help me here, with all the cumulative funds that are out there, is there a cumulative fund that this fits within, so that we could put a little bit each year in, and at the end of the 3 years, we have the money to write the check, we don't come back to us, and we do it with reassessment. Reassessment, they've got some kind of fund where, they don't come back to us every year and want money for reassessment. So I think this could work along the same lines. I think we need some type of funding that we could put money into every year and have the money available and not have to ask for the whole bulk of it then, so.
Dan, do you know, is the county, that's a good point Don brings up, but are counties allowed to do, schools have what they call building fund, or transportation, bus purchasing fund, and they put so much in regardless if they do anything in that area, and are counties allowed to do that same thing?
I don't know. I do not know. When you say allowed, you're talking about by the State Board of Accounts?
Yeah, there's a whole list of CUME funds.
Yes.
I just don't know if this fits into one of those CUME funds. And the other thing about another CUME fund is, and tell me if I'm wrong, it has to be within the levy, right? You're only allowed to have one CUME fund outside of the levy, and we have CUME cap right now. CUME bridge is inside the levy, and if we find and I'm sorry, I've got it at home somewhere, a whole list of what cumulative funds are out there. It would have to be outside of the levy, so.
Well, the other possibility, of course, that doesn't, to me, as I listen to it, it makes sense on the one hand, because you don't have to go through this process, but on the other hand, it still doesn't reach what Tom's concern is, which is, are you getting contribution from the other communities? And I just wonder if this is not an opportunity to perhaps try to forge an interlocal agreement.
Absolutely,
And
that's
by
number one
percentage.
thing. Yep,
And then it wouldn't be X dollars, it would be percentages of whatever X dollars is, and then you would call for how many years you would, how often frequently you would fly, every 3 years or every whatever it was. And then if everybody is willing to kick in their percentage, then we solve the problem of where does the money come from and how do we find it? And you also solve the problem is everybody paying their fair share. You get all the players in it.
I think population is a good place to start.
Right.
You got a county population, and then you got the incorporated populations, and those could work towards the percentage of what they kick in. But I totally agree. But an interlocal agreement
Right.
really has to be, right now, we're doing this, you're doing this on a handshake, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
You're just going to them and saying, can you give us some money? And I think we should have interlocal agreements.
It's only gonna get used more, not less, that's for sure.
Yep.
Well, we took action, or the council did, with our blessing, took on a new tax, and they all reaped the benefit. I didn't hear one of them, City, Busco, South Village, Larwell, say, no, we don't want this money. Why don't you put it in your GIS or something, you know? So it's I look at it as a two-way street.
Yep. And everybody uses it, everybody benefits.
That's true.
from it.
There's a lot of real estate people out there, I would think, that'd be a good place to tap them. If it's just $500 and you get 5 of them, that's $2,500. Okay, we'll set that aside, and if you still get contributions from, and I agree with Don, I think the interlocal agreement, and, because those boards change also.
And if you can make it a 10-year agreement or something that's long-term, then you're locked in and you don't have to worry about it every year.
And every 3 years, I don't think's out of the question.
No, after looking at how this thing's evolved over, we started this thing back in 2002, and how this has evolved.
On a shoestring.
Yeah.
And a promise.
Yeah, exactly. We
Remember
built
that.
this thing ourselves.
Yeah.
And, it was proposed in 1998 that this was going to be a little over $1 million investment, and we built it for a little, about half of that, which is still a considerable amount of money, obviously, but, I think everybody that's worked with this group, not just me by any stretch, it's everybody that's put their time and effort into this thing has been watching the dollar signs, but it's also evolved where the need is obviously there. And so, flying every 3 years is probably not a bad idea at this point. I know just utilizing in my office, the changes that happened even within the year's time was amazing, whether a house is there or not there anymore. It is quite interesting to see how the properties have evolved anywhere
Well,
in the
that's the
county.
same year the new school, high school's supposed to kick in, so
Yeah.
in between that time when those people, maybe in the outlying or other counties, think, let's go look now and build a
Yes.
home close to where that is.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how many calls I get from people that's looking to build here in Whitley County. And then they look at the aesthetics around those properties that they're looking for. And it's quite interesting to hear their comments back as far as how current our aerials are and how accurate our mapping is. So,
Some farmers out in Etna, Troy, they're already building off and putting lots out there in their farmland, I understand. I don't know all of them, but there's some of them out there. Not you, Mr. Western, I didn't need you, the other people.
So do we need a motion for a favorable pass here, or do we just try to work
Yeah,
towards an
looking for a
interlocal?
favorable pass, and then supposed to be going before the council tomorrow morning to seek their advice as well, to move on with this. And then what we'll do is try to put a plan in place for future purchases. I know like I say, we're under a contract with Pictometry to fly in 3 more years. I'm trying to work with them as well, because, my part of me is wondering, do we absolutely have to have oblique imagery, which is where you can see all 4 sides of a home, or do we stay just strictly with the orthophotography where you'd look just over the top? I don't know, I'm still trying to, because the cost is quite extensive over, for the oblique imagery. So, we're looking at all that, but I think we got some time to, figure that one out. But if we do get this one, I'm hoping that we can move Pictometry back to 2020 and see where we're at with that. See where we're at with funding. I mean, after the election, who knows, how these things work out, whether it's state or federal level. We never know where these things are going to go. So, but.
Okay, well, I'm glad to make a motion, but I'm a little confused here. Do you need now to go to the county council since you have the money lined up?
Yes, I think we can, I feel comfortable going to the county council at this point to get this thing moving. What I'm still proposing to do is getting contacts with South Wetland and Churubusco to see about even contributing yet to this one.
Sure. Okay.
Have those budgets been approved for next year, say?
No, you've not adopted budget, right? And I doubt if the town's budgets have been adopted. But they probably have been advertised.
This year or next year?
Yeah.
Next year.
It's probably too late.
You're looking at money for next year,
Yes, sir.
not help on, this
Right.
is going to be flowing in 17.
Correct.
So you're looking at money for next year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, everything's going to be next year. This isn't,
Right.
That needs to be made a note of before we approve that budget tomorrow.
because, this is money that's already been, the money that I'm looking at with the CEDAT, as far as my GIS implementation, is already calculated into the 25,000 that's being set aside for next year. It's not asking for additional monies. It's already within
So
that.
it's already in next year's budget.
Well, then why do you need their approval?
Yeah, that's where
That's what
I'm
I'm
confused. Why do you
confused.
need to go, why do you need to go to council when you have the,
Basically seeking permission to go ahead with the fly.
That's the
Go ahead
guys.
with the
That's these
contract.
guys.
Right,
You
to
won't
enter,
need money till next
to enter
year.
into a
It's already in the
contract.
budget. So I
Correct.
understand it's correct.
Yes.
I wouldn't think you did any.
I would make a motion that we approve him to sign the contract because he's got the money lined up.
That's your action. That's the only action you can take,
Right.
right?
Okay, we got a
Based
motion.
upon your approval, are you going to see the contract or not?
Usually whenever that happens, I make sure
Yeah,
he
he'll
looks,
give it to-
evaluates the contract.
Yeah.
Well, I would make an amendment
Subject.
based upon the assumption that the county attorney sees the
Absolutely.
contract, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, that's a good
I'll
point.
second.
I've done those in the past. we have,
Yes, sir.
so.
Okay, so we got a motion to approve the flyover for 2017, that we already have the monies appropriated for 17. And, but with approval from our county attorney with the contract, to make sure that the contract is approved before.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same.
I would just add, it hadn't been too many years ago, we were looking at 40, 50, 60,000 for these flyovers. And what we got back isn't anything. Of course, they have updated
Yeah.
their stuff too.
Yeah.
But still, to get it down,
that when they
compliment
took
you
the-
and the work you're doing on it. It was
Is that back when they took the hot air balloons up?
close to it.
Use the
Yes.
Instamatic?
When
Yeah.
you get, when you get that drone whistling past your house, you might feel differently this
We
time.
talked about
Yeah, that could be the next.
Really?
Okay,
only
I'd like
certain
to
places
move, I'd like
they
to
can
move to
see
the
on my
next step now.
property.
Now this he does need to go to the council for, but I would like to see a fund set up so he doesn't have to go through this every time. Again, I hate to use the analogy, but it's true. Rita doesn't come down here every time she has a reassessment bill, because she has a reassessment fund. And I'd like to see a aerial photography fund set up a little at a time, so we don't have a big bill at one time. So I guess I would make a motion that we ask council to assist in that procedure, because they're the ones that have to set it up anyway. But
How would the interlocal be involved in that then? Would that be part of that agreement, or that part of that?
that has to be done. We absolutely have to have hard and fast interlocal agreements with the city of Columbia City, the town of Cherubusco, the town of South Whitley. I don't know about Larwell. I know they're incorporated.
What if you use the same percentages you do in seated? That's just a suggestion. I mean,
You got a precedent.
you have a precedent.
You have a
Yeah,
precedent.
I mean, there's a number, because isn't that based on population? So if you just agreed in an interlocal to use those, if you have to get everybody to agree to it as well as us, obviously, but that might set the baseline for how you contribute to it. And then, hand in hand, then you have a fund set up to cover our share of that, would be the way to do it and have it locked in.
Now, when you said something there, everyone agree with it. If Cherubusco would agree to it and South Whitley wouldn't, it still could be an interlocal agreement between the county and Cherubusco and South Whitley.
We just invade South Whitley, but probably that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, they.
But,
yeah.
Revolutionary War.
Well, I'm being ever the optimist and hoping you get 100%
Well, I am too.
cooperation. So, you're right, you're gonna have to wing it then if you get somebody that doesn't want to do it.
We could just
I have
deduct
a-
that percentage before we send a seated check to
Well,
It's kind of
not,
impossible to control who uses it. So it's like, okay, well, let's say if another town didn't contribute, okay, we're gonna block you out from using.
yeah, no, you can't,
I don't know how you do that.
But I know this you're right, but I know this for sure, if they pay for it, they're gonna use it. And that's what you really want.
Is GIS a safety thing that they could pay from the Lloyd tax or not?
Well, that's,
We talked about that too. Dan and I talked about that this morning. I think our Lowit is probably pretty stretched thin, but in my mind, yes, it's a safety factor. Every police car uses this. If they're gonna pull up on a scene, they wanna see the scene before they get there, or they wanna see what this house looks like before they get there. Fire departments could use it, EMS can use it. Yes, I think it could fit into the Lowit. I just don't know that we have enough money in Lowit to deal
Okay.
with it. I don't know. What I would like to do, though, if you don't mind, is I'd like to rescind my motion,
okay.
simply because I think we need to get this local, I think we need to sit down with Cherubusco and South Whitley first, get them online, and then worry about trying to get a fund established, so.
I think it's already in the budget for next year to go ahead and sign that contract. I think what you're talking about is further down the road.
Correct. A sinking fund, or whatever you want, cume fund, or whatever you want to call it.
Next year's, I don't see a problem with going ahead of it as far as the council. Because it's already budgeted, but from here on out, we need to look for
Yeah.
some other funding.
Yeah, I think we want to find a way to prevent Dan from having to come to us every 3 years and said, I need $30,000 to fly.
But for
It's,
this next year, where he needs a contract signed,
Yeah.
we need to go ahead and do it.
I'm with you there.
So, again.
So I withdraw my motion.
Just submit me the contract, I'll read it, approve it, and you already know they're gonna approve it for 17 if I do, so.
Okay. If I can do that. And I'll try to get with the other towns as well, if I need to go make a presentation, obviously I'll do that.
I'd be more than happy to go to Cherubusco with you.
Okay.
I mean, if that's what it takes, if you need me, I'll go.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do you any good in South Whitley, but
Yeah.
I'd go Chair Busco.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the speed limit ordinance, a stop sign ordinance,
Did we have an official table on that? We done with that one?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, good.
I'm leaving then.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you all.
If you haven't, you gotta go to the clerk's office, or did you already do
I
that?
already did
Okay,
that.
okay,
And
okay.
that's not a problem. That's
No, I just wanted to make
she's
sure.
in the middle of a legal dispute between guess what lawyers, and somebody wanted her to sign an affidavit, and so I read it, and so we're good.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I am going back to work, Mr. Western. That's more than I was able to do with this.
Next on the agenda, we'll have the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes and discuss any changes, any amendments?
In the matter of BIS Digital, down about the third sentence, it says big digital. It just needs changed to BIS Digital.
Okay,
It's the only thing I saw, but I didn't really super look it over.
Make a motion be approved. Mr. President.
Second.
got a motion to approve the minutes. We got a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Thank you. Okay, I think Tom went through the claims. Tom, did you find anything on claims? You had questions?
No, there was just a couple. There was one, I don't remember what sheet it was on here, and it's probably okay, although I did not see a claim for it. Maybe it was in there, and there were quite a few where we paid Mr. G's for lunch for the students. Is that Ryan Daniels' students that we went to, that John Barrett and I went to last week? Or what's that for?
That's the one that I was talking about earlier. I see occasionally too. That is the, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. It's drug, maybe it's Drug Free Indiana. Drug Free Indiana, and they meet at Big G's in the back room, and they have lunch, and they do that about every month or so. It's not the mayor's council though.
But we don't get it.
Oh, I can't think of her name. What's?
All right, as
Pritchett?
long as you say it's okay.
Okay.
You might notice, and this is another thing that seems to be growing, is that there it is, October, DFI student
Yeah,
lunches.
Drug Task Force Indiana.
Okay, I can read it upside down. But the bill at our business here in town, is supplying thing, was almost $1,600 this month from them. Now, there were envelopes for courts and things like this, but it seems that maybe our people are getting away. Do we still have this ordering of supplies and things?
But we have it through Heinen Printing, and plus we also have it, if they can find it cheaper at Staples or
Well,
Office Depot, they do that.
Are they searching that too?
As far as I know.
Because some of these things were just supplies.
Yeah, I
That's
know
all
the
it
sheriff's
said.
department does, and I know there are a lot of the
Yeah.
departments that do, but I'm not sure if all of them do, Tom, or not.
Yeah, I just mentioned so you can take a note of it.
Yep.
I'm not against shopping local. Whole lot against me, might cost me a vote. And so I'm just saying that,
Okay.
that was almost
Understood.
$1,600 from different departments, and it was probably 4 or 5 different departments. That's all I would bring to the commissioner's attention on. With that said, unless there's a question, I'll make a motion to be approved.
Okay, motion to approve, seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you.
Yep, I have a couple things. While you're finishing signing, I have a request to use county facilities from the Columbia City Fire Department for the candy giveaway on December 24th. They're early this year, which they do every year, and at the courthouse. And Ron Glassley's going to be there for the event for security from 5:30 to 9 o'clock that evening.
So move be approved.
Second.
Got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
That's your copy. While you're signing that, I also have a 4 and 2 schedule that the sheriff's
Oh, yeah.
department did do, and I'm presenting for them because they're not available today to do that. It's the same as ours. The exception is noted under there for the to remove President's Day and added Easter. So they're just looking for approval today.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 4 and 2 schedule, holiday schedule.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, that's all I had.
Jim? Yep. Tom?
Not much, I only have, I've asked about credit cards and about Janice. I think I'd report up a little bit, 78 today in community correction, 114 in jail, which means we're about 4 or 5 over. 63 on work release, which is pretty good for jobs, so. And I don't know what places pay, but there seems to be a lot of food outlets and restaurants with signs out that say help wanted, everything from hostess to dishwashers to waitresses, and I know a lot of that has to do with tips and things, but
Yeah.
not for dishwasher or hostesses or things. But it seems to me that jobs are available, and I think Kathy Schrader's done a good job. So if we
Yeah,
have
she's done a great job.
63 out of 78 on work, that's pretty good.
Oh, that's very good. That's outstanding.
That's all I have, Mr.
We're
Chairman.
pretty blessed.
Glad to have you back. Thank you.
Glad
Mr.
to be
Amber and I, you see how much grayer his hair is that I caused last week, especially right up here, right there. The bald
Isn't there
spot.
some going right there?
I got a reason why that bald spot's there.
Yeah, but if you want to look at my arms,
No, shut up.
I'm just saying.
I pulled my bicep muscle, that's what he's referring to. See, I thought it was for
cows.
lifting weights. But it really,
Wait.
and that's from not showering.
The first liar doesn't stand a chance around here, do they?
So go ahead, do you have any?
Yeah, sort of. You mentioned about jobs, and George and I was just talking today, this is gonna go nowhere, and it's not probably such much of a county issue, but out north now, north of town, almost every street corner has someone begging for money.
Yes.
And I've never
Me
seen
too.
it like it is now.
Horrible.
And, and we have jobs available. So I just don't know what to think about. I want to feel sorry for him, I really do, I want to feel sorry for him, but I'm just not sure what the stories are, because I don't know how you could be homeless in Columbia City. I really don't. There's got to be a place for you. So,
But so many of those people don't have the facilities or things for the proper clothing maybe, or to be the, the health habit deal. I've seen some, I wouldn't wanna, and I'm just saying, we get pretty close when we go into a restaurant, if the waiter comes over with dirt hanging out under his fingernails, like, it makes a difference, and that might cut in, but that'd be but I do agree with you. You do see out at Bob Evans' corner, there's someone there every day.
Yep. Patty and I jokingly said, do they rent these corners? Because they'll be the same person on the corner, so do they have their own corner? But
Yeah.
I just,
But
if the problem's that bad,
Yeah.
we need to deal with it. And I don't know who we are. I don't know who we are, so.
Well, I just wonder, city police, I've seen the city police stop and talk to these people, but are they giving them alternatives?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, if
Resources,
you go
that's
out and
right.
talk
Our
to the
community.
people involved at the name of it, across from DeVoe Field up there by the Legion.
Oh, the lighthouse?
Yeah, all those people in there, the reason they're there, they have no place to go.
Right. That's
And
right.
I'm not too far, as I've talked to you people, of having the same thing. I have a brother that's been with me 8 weeks now because he has no place to go.
Just no
Right
place to-
now. And he's looked for an apartment. And if you go to try to rent an apartment, you have to provide bank records and income and everything else, especially if it's federal monies involved.
Sure.
And he has been working with two in Huntington, because that's where he used to live. That's where his family. And, it's hard for him, and it's hard for us.
Oh, it would be
And we
awful.
got two grandkids that are in and out, and they're there every night. And it's, it's like, God, what did I do? I'm starting all over and didn't have the enjoyment to do it,
Yeah.
So there are a lot of homeless ones.
But I think the thing that we have to consider on this also is that a lot of these homeless people have got other issues too, mental issues, because in speaking to Sheriff Gatton, that's getting to be a huge issue in the jails. Most of the people that we have
All
in
over.
jail right now
All over.
are,
Yeah.
they've got some
Drug and mental.
issues. Yeah.
Drug and mental related.
And so
Yep.
we're trying to be a mental
Yeah.
institution or trying to help these people.
Yeah.
And by incarcerating them, then it just
I
it
just
creates a
look
problem.
back, our insurance company says you have to provide more counseling for mentally.
Yeah.
Remember that? That 5-6 months ago, they told us, you've got to provide more mental services to your inmates. And I wouldn't know, just sitting down talking to someone, a mental condition,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, I just brought it up because that's like,
It's a
to
good
me, it's
point,
just like
though,
all of a
what?
sudden, there they are. What are we doing wrong? And again, I don't know who we are, but it doesn't look right in Columbia City, Indiana. Okay, I want to go back to some tabled items. Okay, we've got a couple of items here. First would be the BIS digital that I truly don't totally understand, but essentially it's a technological way for the auditor to do agendas and minutes. The cost of the program is a little shy of $7,000. I don't mean to put her, oh, I'm sorry, it's 6,000, and then they came in and they reviewed in here.
thank you, Mr. Western. Take care of yourself.
The chairman's getting hard, I prefer a softer one.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of black ones up here that you would be able to sit in if you wanted to, so, just saying. So, if our auditor really feels that this is something we can't, I don't want to say can't live without, or would certainly enhance our county, then I think we should look at it a little harder. And if she doesn't, then I think we should let Mr. Marin Moran know that we're not interested. So we just tabled it, you weren't here, so we just tabled it till today. So, what are you guys' thoughts on? I'm sorry, the ball's really in your court
it's
because it's your, it's
It
your
is.
deal, and isn't that interesting?
Is that your phone?
Amber storm alert.
There's an Amber
Yeah,
Alert.
it's an Amber Alert.
Yeah, that's
So
what
they're
they do.
finally, I hope it wasn't 11 hours ago.
Hammond, Indiana.
Where?
Hammond,
Oh,
Indiana.
okay.
Raphael Bevino Gold Chevy Trailblazer or similar, check local media.
Okay.
Oh.
Look out on 30.
And Janet, does that
So-
work with our
so anyway,
current
what,
site, right? Did he say it would?
The courts are
Okay,
gonna use this
okay.
too. Wouldn't this help the courts? Isn't that what they say of going back and pulling things up quicker?
Yes.
Well,
this
well,
would-
wait a minute, but that's a different program.
Right.
That's not in the $6,000.
Okay.
No, it's not.
That's a whole different
So
program.
this is just for one office?
This is for agenda and minutes.
Honestly, in my opinion, we've already set the budget for next year. I really don't. Almost past the point of. So
That's true.
I would say maybe hold off 1 year. Let me research a little more. Let me talk to more. See,
I
maybe
second
even
that
go
motion.
go to
Okay,
go to the places that have
Right.
it and actually see it in action for myself.
okay, so
I'd rather
basically kick it down the road till next year, and I'm really fine with that. Was that a motion? Kick it down the road till next year? I second that.
Kick her down.
Well, I mean, really, I don't,
Well,
if she comes to us and said, I gotta have this, I'll do whatever I can to help her. Okay, the other one, and quite frankly, I think this stays tabled.
Just so
We
you
got
know.
over a year, and that is, George Laurel came to us. Next year, Veterans Day will be observed on November the 10th. That's a holiday, and yet the law says taxes are due May 10th and November 10th of every year, and apparently we can't change that date. So she wanted to know if they could stay open, right? They want to stay open that day to collect taxes, so. And I don't mean to kick it down the road, but I think that we should
Next year, no.
probably let her decide. Well, my concern was, okay, now, I know what my concern was, and that was, that puts her and another person in here with unlocked doors and money. I guess that was what my concern was. Should the bad guy find out, hey, there's nobody there except
No.
those two ladies or whatever, and the money, that, I think, is what bothered me more than anything.
Didn't she talk about too, maybe moving it to a different day? Because wasn't that on a Friday? I don't have my phone in front
Yeah,
of
it
me.
is on a Friday,
That was on a Friday.
Friday, November
She
10th.
said other counties are moving it to that Monday. Is that correct?
See, that's what I think we should do. You know, and I know I use this analogy, the IRS says you gotta pay them on the 15th, but if the 15th falls on a Saturday, you don't have to pay till the 17th. And I think we should take that same stance, that your bill will not be due until the 13th.
Till that Monday.
And
I
do-
would agree with that.
I just don't want these ladies in here by themselves. So,
No, I think that's a good idea.
I do
We can't
too.
afford to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
okay. So I would make a motion that we ask our treasurer to change the date for last payment to November the 13th, 2017. That's 17, by the way. It isn't this year. That's why I thought we I gotta get this done.
Second?
Got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed?
One other thing, sir, and that is, I'm sorry I know it's laying on the table, it's my fault for not looking, but is comp time out of control again? Or
No.
are we doing better?
It was 17,000, I think.
Oh, it's
So it was
down now.
It was down.
I saw some
It was
red.
down again. Yeah, and that's only the ones that have met their 40 hours.
That's what, okay,
Yeah.
that's,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
When I see red, I think,
Yeah.
something's wrong, but,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess all we can do is remind them, hey, 40 hours, you gotta.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Then that's it, that's all I got.
Okay, right now I have nothing, I haven't been involved in anything for a while here, so I don't think I have it. Oh, wait a minute, I do have
Do you have any
it.
video of your surgery? We could watch it.
You have the PTO, don't forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you've all got the proposal of the PTO policy. And at this meeting, we'd like to either get an approval or denial of the paid time off. Any questions? It's been approved by personnel, and we've been working through personnel on this to try to come up with some kind of a agreement on it, but would like an approval or a favorable pass from the commissioners.
I was a huge opponent of it because quite frankly, I always felt like when Parkview went to PTO from vacations and sick days and benefit days, it just seemed like I never had any time off after that. So, I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me right now, but there's a couple of things they did here that I think made it much safer. You kept in a couple of things that are not part of PTO. What is it, Pam? You can tell me faster than I can find it.
The only thing we utilized for PTO was sick, vacation,
Vacation.
and personal. We kept out holidays and bereavement and workers' comp
Yeah.
for that same reason.
Yeah, and I think that made me feel more comfortable, and I would make a motion that we approve the policy 4.2 paid time off.
Got a motion?
When's that start?
17.
1/1.
January 1.
Okay, I'll second this. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same.
Abstain.
2, 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thank you.
George, I do have one thing I would like to relate to the other two commissioners. I haven't talked to Sheriff Gatton or his chief deputy, but if you see him, you might just tell him at the Etna Festival, Deputy Schrader was out there. And he was the first car that come up and led the parade, and it was a substantial, you're not talking downtown Fort Wayne. I think there was 22 or 24 different floats in there,
That is
Wow.
from the churches, and Wheeler had his race car and the first wild drilling thing. They had horse carriages. It was really the best they've ever had, really. And Sheriff Schrader led that and then parked his car. But he stayed another couple hours and just went through the crowd, talked to people, talked to kids. And I think that was just good PR, He didn't have to do that. He could have left. But and the other one was, that same day, there was a wreck at the corner of 750 and Keck Road where that's a real sharp curve. And a fellow come around there in a pickup truck with a trailer, a Bobcat on the back, and overtook a little more of his half. And there was an older gentleman, not elderly, older individual had come around there and forced him off the road, and he had a telephone pole, sheared the right front wheel off of his automobile. And Deputy Sheriff Auer was there, handled it. He didn't know me. I left down there because my brother left about the same time. He said a pickup truck, and I got, now what? But anyway, when I got there, he didn't know me. He said, "Do you live around here?" And I said, "Yeah, I live right there." And they, "You commissioner?" I said, "Yeah, I'm commissioner." But anyway, we got talking. That's the first time I ever met. But he was so polite and handled that situation with that older gentleman, and there was concern on the other drivers too. And he waited there 2.5 hours, not complaining, for a service truck to come that not only pick up the tow car, but for the truck to come up because of an overhanging wire, and they didn't want anything moved because they didn't know if it was telephone or electric.
Sure.
So I just think if you see that, you might mention to them,
That's
I
neat.
just thought they did a splendid job
That's neat.
of handling both things. All we ever hear kind of is the negative about police and things and
We're
sheriffs. and
fortunate.
They're both relative, well, they both are young, and I was really impressed with both of them, with him, just for your knowledge, so,
Good.
thank you, that's it.
I got one more quick thing. I apologize. Pam and I talked about this a while back. I would like us to buy a box of sympathy cards, a box of get well soon cards, and for the three of us to sit down and sign some of those cards so that Pam could send them out for us as needed. We were talking about a sick person at lunch, just send them a get well card from the three of us. And we certainly can do that. This is not a very big expense, but we could do that with every employee who is ill or has a death in the family or something. It would just be nice, and have them hand sign, not,
Yep.
So
I think
I'd
it's a
be
great
willing to
idea.
sit down and sign some cards, so.
You're gonna have to sign it so you read.
You do, you do, so they know who,
I'm
so they
getting
know who.
even, see?
No, I got it.
You
No.
might think it's
I'm not saying
Obama.
anything.
No, you're not,
Yeah.
both of you. Who are these two? I think that's a
Yep.
good idea. 'cause
Well, I
we
just-
have a lot of
Great
them.
idea.
And then any of the three of us could call her and say, hey, so-and-so is sick, or so-and-so has passed
Yeah,
away,
we
we
can
send
send
out a
it out.
card.
And I would like to add to that, maybe some thank you cards too, that,
Oh, thank you cards would be wonderful. We just sit down and sign them.
Okay.
Okay. Will you deal with that, Pam?
I can do
Okay.
that.
Let me know when it's time to sign.
Okay.
guess that's all I've got. Any
So
further?
move, well, any
Nathan
questions?
was here, but he
Oh.
left again.
He was just here for the PTO in case there was any questions, but he said not to worry about it.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay.
Anything from the public?
We were a little concerned with the public in the beginning. We all commented, I don't see Stan, I don't see Dwayne, just a little
We're
concerned.
busy eating lunch, sorry.
So it's nice to see you guys.
I would
Are
so
we still
move.
putting the, are we still videoing this
Motion to
and putting it online? Is there, where is it? I haven't gone to look, honestly, but where is it?
I can give you the address if you want to come in here. I'll show you. Right on
I'm
YouTube.
sorry.
I'll give you the address right off of YouTube.
Oh, well, okay,
So you
what I
get
was
it?
gonna ask was, has anybody gone to one of them and watched it?
Yes.
Okay, because it's impossible to hear back here.
It is back there where you're at. That's why we put the microphone up there.
That's why we ask people,
Nobody uses the microphones, they're there, but nobody's using them.
Well, today they all set up here and stood up here.
that's what we're trying to
That's
do,
what we're
is to
trying
make
to
sure
do.
everybody comes up and sits in
Now,
that
like
chair.
with you
It's
talking
just
right
y'all
now,
mumbling
we
among
couldn't
each other.
understand,
Yeah.
we won't be able to probably understand what you're saying. There's a microphone right above you.
Motion to adjourn.
There's actually one-
Is this any better? Can you hear me now? Test 1, 2.
Would you like fries?
Uh-oh, you knocked your mouthpiece off. Yes, you have.